Back to the YouTube channel. Got a pretty big guest here today in Hayden. Hayden's been in the program for a little over, I would say, 4-ish months, somewhere around that range. I don't know off the exact top of my head, but Hayden, I don't really want to steal your thunder, man. Just want you to obviously introduce yourself, where you're from, maybe where you went to high school, where you're at college now, and all that good stuff.
My name's Hayden Linton. I grew up and went to high school in Rogers, Arkansas, and I'm playing at a Division II in Springfield, Missouri right now called Drury University.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Yeah, we've had some pretty cool things happen recently, and we'll get into that kind of down the road a little bit. But I really want to talk about, kind of you in particular, your journey a little bit. So kind of fill the viewer in on like where you were at before you started working with us.
Before I started with this program, I mean, I was really trying to focus on changing my mechanics, and I just didn't have a good source to look from with that. And big thing Dylan does is works personally with you and what you need to specifically work on for. It's very personable. And I was trying to find stuff off of Instagram and just old coaches and just wherever I could to fix my mechanics, and I think I've come a long way and more have had mental and physical breakthroughs and just mental cues and physical cues of just what I need to do to be a better pitcher.
Yeah, 100%. I think you've come definitely a long way in a short time frame for sure. And I appreciate you saying those things. The one thing I wanted to hit on a little bit too is kind of, right, so you're a freshman at your school, kind of what was that last senior year of high school like for you? Because maybe there's somebody who's a senior in high school watching this right now and it's going into freshman year of college, because you jumped into the program in November, right? So I guess I kind of want the viewer to know, why'd you jump in November? Was it you kind of got to college and were like, whoa, this was not what I was expecting, I need more help here? I guess what was the motivation for first joining the program?
When I was a senior in high school, I threw some, but I threw definitely a lot more and closer to my high school when I was a senior. So it was good to actually get some time on the field. But when I came to college, I mean, it wasn't really what I expected, but because my college had a lot of kickback guys and just guys that had played at a higher level. So I think there were some better than I expected, and then some about on level. Because you can obviously tell apart from the freshmen who are mid to low 80s versus the seniors that are high 80s, mid low 90s. And but I mean, the transfer from high school to college, I'm a big guy who always confidence was an issue at times. So I think I had big case of yips for my first few times in college, and that did for a rough fall. But with this program, I felt like building confidence, and that's come a long way and helped me throw a lot more strikes. That was my main problem, and I feel like I've come a long way from where I started in September.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've definitely come a long way for sure, and we're going to get into exactly how far you've come in a little bit. So, I guess for the viewer, what was the motivation to were you starting when did you start looking for programs, and what kind of landed you with this one?
I started looking for programs when it really just hit me how plateaued I had been since junior summer, because I've been sitting anywhere from 84 to 87, and like I said junior summer and just all around there. And then I started, I realized I needed to just change something up and look for a program and get some structure into my baseball life. And then I came across your page, and between the flexible times, always being able to respond most of the time, and then good communication and just action or person specific drills and a lot of that stuff, it was just a lot of what I was looking for.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. The one thing I think that maybe somebody could be wondering is what did you think you needed to work on before you hopped in the program? And then what did we actually work on when you hopped in that maybe you were like, oh, I didn't even realize that I needed to do this?
Think what I think I needed to work on, just talking purely mechanics, was I thought I wasn't I guess driving like with my backside enough, and I mean that wasn't really the case. It was more of a keeping my hips neutral, my body centered kind of a thing that I didn't really see and didn't realize until it was pointed out to me. And obviously, once I saw that, like the changes didn't come right away, but I knew at least what to look for in my own mechanics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was definitely your biggest thing, was just being more centered and having the pelvis under you and being able to rotate towards home plate was definitely a big thing. And then, you put in work for probably 3 months and, had some little results, but how did you kind of stay with the course without, being like, I don't even know if this is going to work. Like, I'm doing everything he's telling me, and like we haven't had a velocity jump just yet. Like, how did you kind of keep going forward?
Well, I'm a big grind guy. I mean, usually I submit all my videos like 8 or later at night at my time, so I go to my indoor and I just like I like to throw alone and get my work in alone so that I don't really have any distractions. So I I like to just like be with my own thoughts and like really try and like feel out my body and try and just like over exaggerate movements because over exaggerating is more of like what it should look like versus actually over exaggerating. But I think that has helped me a lot to like actually get to feel what I've needed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing there too is I think like you kept putting in the work even when like the results didn't like show up right away, and knew that if you kept grinding it would have been it was a good thing. And then we have like our first little sort of bump where you throw 89 miles an hour in an off-season bullpen. How did that kind of feel, right? Because we'd been stuck in like that 87 top-ish range, so then because we were 86 in the fall and then we're 89 in our off-season bullpen. What was kind of going through your head when you had that result?
Yeah, I was really just trying to feel out some new mechanics because obviously this stuff like I'd been doing before had been working. So I threw a bullpen in an indoor, just trying to feel stuff out. And the one of my old coaches told me on the gun it said 89, and I was just like shocked. Like that was just out of nowhere. It felt like I
Yeah.
was just like cool, but it was really just it felt like it was out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot. It's almost like I say this, to you guys in the program every once in a while. It's like it's kind of like the Mr. Miyagi and the Karate Kid. Like we do these sort of, certain lifts, certain movements, and then when you get on the mound, it's just like it clicks, and it's like I don't even know why that worked. And it's just, well, we've been putting in all this. You put in all that work before then, and then we show back up to campus, and we're doing decent, and then you get told that, hey, like you're not going to travel. And that was a really shitty feeling, to for lack of a better word. How did you deal with that and like our communication through that process, to where like you put in all this work in the off season, you throw harder than you did before, and then you get told like, hey, you're not traveling with us on the weekend. How did we kind of go about that process?
I mean, we kind of went about that just as like the keep up the work thing. The opportunities will come, and when they present yourself, obviously you have to capitalize. But if you keep putting in the work, obviously stuff's not guaranteed to you, but it'll. If you put in enough work, you should get enough, or you should get at least an opportunity. You just got to capitalize on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a lot easier said than done. To like, it's easy to say like, oh, you'll get an opportunity. And it is the truth. Like, obviously, like when we were talking about it, I fully believed you would. And then we flash forward to the next week and you do get an opportunity in kind of like an inner squad, and kind of walk us through what happened there.
Well, like we were just talking about with that, one thing I missed out is you'll be a lot better prepared. And like I was starting to feel out. There was one, I don't remember what day specifically it was, last couple weeks, but where like I started to like feel what because I threw that 89 in the bullpen in like beginning of January, and I was having a hard time feeling back at that between like the rest of January and beginning of February. But there was one time when I was throwing at night by myself, and like I could felt it felt how it did back in January because I had been trying to replicate that for almost a month and a half, and it was just not working. So I felt like I really prepared myself well for that, and finally got back to that good feeling, and I knew it was probably going to be pretty good that day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as I said, I think it's a little tough. Like, obviously, you don't make the travel roster, and we kind of talk about you getting an opportunity. You get that opportunity, and then, in that outing, you hit your first 90. Like, how did that feel to be like, it is tough. You kind of went from getting told you're not going to travel, which is not easy, and then all of a sudden we have this PR, and then they tell you something after that outing too as well. That was good news as well. So kind of walk us through how that felt.
Probably one of my best baseball experiences, to be honest. I mean, those came out, felt pretty good in the bullpen, and then came out on the mound. My first pitch on the mound was 87. Like, I knew in my head, like, this might be the day. And then just not necessarily trying to throw hard, but just keeping smooth and like trying to stay in my mechanics was a big part of that, I feel like. And then you get up in a count and an opportunity, you get a chance to rip a fastball. So it felt great looking up on that board. I mean, I don't know if you could see in the video, but that
I can see.
I looked pretty excited, and that's a pretty rare thing for me on a baseball field. I'm more of a stone face kind of a guy, but
Yeah.
I was very, very happy with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was cool to see on the video because obviously you're definitely more calm, cool, and collected. And then, you can see in the video you hit the 90 and you start clapping your gloves together because it's just like all the hard work kind of came together, which was super cool to see on our end, just how much it meant to you because it meant just as much to us. I guess right at the end of that outing, right, you hit that 90 and then the coaches talked to you after and said, hey, man, you're going to be on the travel roster. How did that feel too? Because we went from, not being on the travel roster to hitting 90 and then getting told we're on the travel roster. Like, kind of walk us through that.
I mean, yeah, I was impressed with myself. I could tell the coaches were happy when I get back because I got back and, I mean, I had been throwing strikes and I felt like I was slowly chipping away to earning that spot there. So I felt like that was obviously the big turning point where it was like I can be the best pitcher on this team and like I feel like I could really like make an impact here. But getting back to the dugout and coach told me I was going to be on the bus, it was a great feeling. It was just adding cherry on top to the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that mindset's really important to have too, that you can be the best pitcher on the team. I think that's why when you get told you're on the travel roster and then hit 90 and then get on the travel roster, I think that's why, because you still have that mindset throughout it. And we've talked about that a decent amount. For somebody who's like, all right, all this sounds great, like, it's cool that you hit your first 90 and that you're on the travel roster now, but like, what does it actually look like inside of the program? What would you say to them?
I mean, inside the program, you give a lot of good stuff from like break it down to the very basics, like the soft tissue stuff. That's part of my everyday routine, and the hip mobility. Those are like the first two things I do every day. And then the med ball drills are really good to feel like separate parts of your body. The lifts, I've been more on my actual school's program lifts, but when I was doing them back in January and December and over the off season, they were pretty good for full body and then isolating different parts too. And then the actual throwing program, I like how it's structured between the drills and just like the progression up to actually throwing. So I think that's great for just structuring out every day.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that and kind of walking people through kind of what it's looked like for you and kind of how we've gone about things of getting you to where, to that 90 miles an hour. If somebody was asking you like, hey, would you recommend this program? Like, would you?
Yes, I would.
Sweet deal.
I think it's good for development, especially around like my age. And if I could do it earlier, I would have probably like junior, senior year, but I definitely recommend it around like this 2-3 year span. I think it's good for people.
I appreciate you saying that, man. And then, right, like obviously it's a remote training program, right? It's online. You've never done something like that before. What were kind of some of your beliefs about online training that you had before you hopped in? Like, what did you kind of think about? Like, what were you expecting in a sense? Good, bad, or indifferent?
I wasn't really sure because like my mindset with it is like I feel like online can be very limited because I'm more of a very like in person, like I need to see it to do it kind of a guy. But I mean, if you like spend enough time working and trying to feel things out, you'll get it eventually. So I feel like it's not really that limiting as it may seem.
Like kind of, so people kind of have that limiting belief about like, I need in person, online doesn't work. And you kind of had that too before you hopped in. So like, I guess what made you take like the jump into the deep end in a sense of online training?
Yeah, and like I obviously just said, a very specialized program versus being told the same thing to that's being said to 200 other people, and just like I feel like you need that if you're going to make an online program worth it, because that's what you're sacrificing to going from online to an in-person. In most cases, not always. That's what would really make me, if I were to come back to something like this, that's what it would be for me.
Yeah, 100%. And then for somebody who's kind of like on the fence right now, who's like, all right, this all sounds great, but like, why should I do it? What would you say to them?
I would say if you're dedicated to developing and you actually want to see improvement and put in the work, then this would be the place for you. And I mean, you just got to put in the hours and put in the sweat, and you should see improvement.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that, and I think that's 100% true. I think the reason you've had, the results we listed is because you did put in those hours, you did put in all the hard work, those late night sessions kind of in your own training facility and stuff like that. It's really a testament to you, and we just kind of gave you the tools to make sure that, we got that first 90 miles an hour and made the travel roster right, but really the work came from you. Is there anything else you want to say about like the program or just, your journey at all?
Definitely been like lots of big steps more than just like slow progressions, and really appreciate this program, and I believe is a big part in this next step I just took. So
yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. I think I think kind of how you've gone about this process and how much work you've put in is really why you are where you are and why we're going to have a really good season this season. So I'm looking forward to it. For someone who's kind of watching this, like, where can they find you on social media?
Hayden Linton. I go to Drew University, and I don't, not a huge social media guy, but yeah, if you find me, I'm not hidden.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate you doing this. You're an absolute stud muffin, and if you guys want results just like Hayden, you can click the link down below, book a call with us, fill out the application, and we'll see if we're the right fit for you. But as always, man, Hayden, I appreciate you so much, dude.
Appreciate you, Dylan.